The vanishing? A spaceship disappeared. No wreckage, no signal, just gone. 7 astronauts, 1 mission, 0 remains. It was supposed to be routine, just another orbital research mission, launched quietly without much public attention. It was labeled as a low-risk operation. But then, radio silence. No mayday, no alarms, no power failure alerts. Just an eerie digital void. The entire crew's then highly trained space scientists vanished. No explosions, no re-entry burn, no debris fields. NASA lost the whole shuttle. Not crashed, not destroyed, erased. And here's the real twist. Before they vanished, a signal was received. Unrecognizable, undecoded. Not from Earth. It wasn't radio interference. It wasn't cosmic background noise. It was intelligent, timed, repeating. Then, silence, forever. What happened out there? Space is vast, cold, merciless. But it's also washed. At 2:17 UTC, the Johnson Space Center lost all contact with orbital mission Nova-17. The last visual transmission showed the Earth's curvature behind the crew as they laughed, shared updates, and floated across the cabin. Exactly 4 minutes and 32 seconds later, all telemetry vanished. Gone. The mission log. The crew had sent 12 hours of data prior to disappearance. Nothing unusual, until the final entry. A log was sent encrypted, auto-censored seconds before contact was lost. Not alone. Objects outside the window. Not stars. That's it. No voices. No panic. Just that. Eyewitness from Earth? Believe it or not, an amateur astronomer in Patagonia, Argentina, was stargazing that exact night. Using a high-magnification telescope and tracking ISS movement, he caught a glimpse of something else in orbit. What he described? 3 glowing shapes, perfect triangles, moving in unison, faster than any aircraft. They surrounded a dark speck. Then it blinked out. That dark speck was later confirmed to be tracking Ducato, be the last recorded position of Nova-17. Ground Control's response. Publicly, NASA cited a catastrophic systems failure. They claimed the craft burned up on re-entry. No wreckage found. No satellite images of any explosion. No heat signatures. No evidence. Only classified reports. Reports that never reached the public. Reports that mention anomalous orbital behavior. The leaked image. In 2024, a blurry image circulated online, said to be from an internal Pentagon transmission. It showed a black orb-shaped object, metallic in texture, hovering 500 meters from the shuttle just before telemetry blackout. Was it real? Some say it's AI-generated. Others swear it was pulled from declassified military archives. What do you believe? UFO. The term UFO has changed. Now it's UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena. In 2021, the U.S. Pentagon confirmed 144 encounters with UFOs. One could be explained. Did Nova-17 encounter a UAP? Was it intercepted or abducted? Think about IT. How does a multi-billion-dollar spacecraft vanish without a trace? How does telemetry cut off clean in the middle of a broadcast? How does a crew go silent after logging? Not alone. This wasn't mechanical. It wasn't atmospheric. It was something else. Something watching, waiting, then taking. Theories flood the internet. Reddit exploded. Twitter threads spiraled. TikTok creators spun endless theories. Some claimed the crew crossed into a wormhole. Others believed they were collected part of a cosmic experiment. A few said it was a test, a secret military operation using cloaking tech. But nothing explains the signal, that frequency, that non-human rhythm. The pulse pattern. A scientist from MIT analyzed the leaked waveform of the signal. His conclusion: this isn't natural. It's structured, possibly a language. There's a repeating mathematical constant buried in the intervals. It's communicating. Then, silence. No updates. No search missions. No apologies to the families. No public funeral. Why? Why bury it? Why classify every report? Why erase the memory of 7 brilliant astronauts? Who were they? These weren't rookies. They were the best of the best. A quantum physicist, an ex-Navy pilot, 2 exobiologists, a communications engineer, and AI systems analyst, a medical doctor trained for deep space surgery. Why send that crew on a routine mission? Or was it never routine? Was this mission a trap? Some say the mission was bait, a way to provoke contact, a way to test UAP reaction to human presence in sensitive orbital zones. If so, it worked too well. The aftermath. One of the crew's spouses, a former NASA engineer, broke her silence. She said her husband reported strange dreams in the weeks before launch. He spoke of a humming in his head, a feeling of being observed. She thought it was stress. Now, she's not so sure. The missing puzzle pieces. One thing's certain: the shuttle launched. The crew went up. Something happened. The world was told nothing. The official mission page was scrubbed from NASA's archive within 48 hours. Wayback Machine snapshots gone. Censored. Fiction are fragments of truth. Hollywood has told us this story before. Interstellar time distortion, higher intelligence, contact alien signals, government cover-up, gravity orbital disaster, emotional trauma. But what if these aren't fiction? What if they're based on hidden events? Scripts written from whispers. Why this story matters now. With every new UAP report, with every leaked Pentagon video, with every government that comes forward, saying we don't know what these things are, we must ask, is Earth being watched? And who decides what the rest of us are allowed to know? End of part 1. Choose what to believe. A spaceship disappeared. No wreckage, no signal, just gone. The only remaining clue, a signal that whispered something ancient, foreign, and intelligent, not from Earth. What do you believe? Are we alone? Or are we being hunted on a mission at a time? S-107 Columbia's tragic fate or something more. February 1st, 2003. The sky over Texas ignites. 7 astronauts aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia are returning home after 16 days in space. They're minutes from touching down. Then, disaster. A fireball, a trail of glowing fragments. Then silence. NASA's official explanation. A piece of foam broke off the shuttle's external tank during launch. It damaged the heat shield. Upon re-entry, superheated gas entered the wing, causing structural failure. A tragic accident, a flaw in design, and known risk. Or was it? But something else was seen that day. At precisely 8:57 a.m. Central Time, multiple independent radar stations picked up something strange. An object, moving fast, not consistent with known flight paths. Not a bird, not a plane, not debris. It was pacing Columbia, traveling close, too close, and then it vanished exactly 1 second before the shuttle disintegrated. Here's where IT gets strange. That radar anomaly was never mentioned in the official report, not in NASA's Columbia Accident Investigation Board CAIB findings, not in any press conference, not in any public document. Scrubbed, ignored, buried. Why? A leaked footage surfaces. Months later, a short clip began circulating on a restricted military forum. It showed Columbia from a high-altitude military drone. In the final seconds of flight, a small orb of light appears in the frame, moving in sync with the shuttle. Then, a pulse of energy, and Columbia tears apart. Video analysis from civilian experts. Independent aerospace engineers analyzed the footage. There's no known atmospheric interference that could create that pattern. That pulse, it's electromagnetic, artificial. If this is real, it changes everything. NASA never responded. The video was removed within hours, accounts deleted, files erased. But once it's on the internet, it's never truly gone. Eyewitness testimony from the ground. Dozens of Texans reported unusual activity that day. A pilot flying a small aircraft over northern Texas claimed, "I saw a flash in the sky. Then I saw two trails, not one. One was Columbia, the other was something else." Even civilians on the ground said they saw bright lights moving too fast for jets. A loud popping noise before the explosion. Something metallic falling separately. None of this made the news. Not once. An internal NASA email leaked in 2010. It was dated February 3, 2003, 2 days after the crash. Subject: anomaly at 8:57. We need to scrub external tracking from report 1 to B. Focus should remain on foam impact narrative. Request coordination with DOD to sanitize radar logs before FOIA requests begin. What does that mean? A cover-up, a deliberate effort to remove any evidence that didn't support the official story. But why would they lie? Why hide the truth? Maybe because the truth is worse than failure. Maybe because the public couldn't handle what really happened. Maybe because this wasn't an accident. The cargo. What was Columbia carrying? Officially, Columbia carried out microgravity experiments and biological tests, but some sources claim otherwise. A 2021 whistleblower said STS-107 carried experimental sensors designed to detect deep space anomalies, specifically electromagnetic distortions not created by human tech. If true, Columbia may have been a sensor platform, a probe, not a research mission, a baited trap. Connection to UFO sightings. In the weeks before the launch, there were multiple UAP sightings over Cape Canaveral. Bright objects, hovering, silent. Air Force logged them, but they were dismissed. And then Columbia launched. Coincidence or response? Project Stargazer, the lost file. In 2009, WikiLeaks published fragments of a classified Project Stargazer. It mentioned shuttle missions being shadowed by unknown objects. One line stood out. STS-107 reported UAP tailing the shuttle at 242 miles altitude. Record shows 13 seconds of unknown telemetry disruption. What if Columbia wasn't the first? What if it was the one that got too close? A dead astronaut's journal. Commander Rick Husband, the mission pilot, kept a personal digital journal. After the crash, NASA recovered his onboard device. They returned it to his wife. Most entries were warm, human, about Earth, about family. But one is chilling. Saw the lights again today. 3 flashes, 3 pulses, just like yesterday. Mission Control says it's nothing. I'm not so sure anymore. That entry was dated January 29th, 3 days before the explosion. Military involvement. Multiple surveillance satellites were watching Columbia. Some believed the military knew exactly what was going on. Some even claimed they tried to intercept the anomaly. With what? No one knows. But something clearly went wrong. The foam theory too convenient. Foam damage was documented early. But foam doesn't explain the energy pulse, the synchronized object, The white radar data, the missing 13 seconds of telemetry, the pre-disaster crew journal entries. Foam explains the whole, but not the silence. UP reports patterns emerging. In 2022, the Pentagon released their updated UAP assessment. One finding stood out. UAPs demonstrate a consistent presence near high-value aerospace assets. Columbia was a high-value target. Was it being watched or warned? Imagine this. You're in space. You see something outside your ship, not on the flight plan, not human. Your comms are blocked, your instruments glitch. You send a warning, no one hears you, and then everything ends. That's what might have happened aboard Columbia. Theories from around the world. Theory 1: Electromagnetic disruption. A UAP pulse shut down Columbia's systems mid-re-entry. The result: catastrophic heat shield failure. Theory 2: Targeted strike. Columbia was observed collecting data it shouldn't have. The crew was silenced. Theory 3: Dimensional rift. UAPs weren't hostile. The ship passed through a brief rift opened by unknown tech, causing the shuttle to destabilize. Theory 4: Fabricated disaster. The shuttle didn't explode. It was taken. The fireball was staged. The crew is elsewhere, or not entirely gone. What do you believe? NASA gave us one story, but fragments, files, and eyewitnesses suggest another. Was STS-107 just a tragedy, or a moment of contact? If Columbia wasn't alone up there, what was flying next to it? And if NASA knew, why did they bury it? End of part 2. More than just an accident. Columbia exploded, but something else was there. Seen by radar, captured on tape, erased from records. Now only questions remain. Did we lose a shuttle, or witness the most important event in human history? Your move? Believe the official story, or follow the signals. The mystery is just beginning. An astronaut's final words: they're not from Earth. A screen, broken audio, then static, and one phrase: terrified, desperate. They're here. They're not from Earth. This wasn't in a movie. This wasn't fiction. This was real. A voice from space. But here's the part that chills. The audio was never released. It never aired on news. It never appeared in the official transcripts. It was buried, and when it leaked, the world wasn't ready. The file that should never exist. It surfaced on a darknet forum in 2015, posted under the alias Vault 109. File name: Columbia_final_log.mp3. Length: 17 seconds. What it contained? No countdown, no launch codes, no mission data. Just panic. A woman's voice believed to be Kalpana Chawla, mission specialist. Her words were, "I see them. I see, oh my God. They're outside. All three. They're not from Earth." Repeat: "They're not from Earth." Then the sound of rapid breathing, a distant alarm, someone yelling in the background. Then silence. Digital noise. The file ends abruptly. Audio authenticity analyzed. Cyber forensics experts broke it down. Voice matching algorithms ran comparisons with archived interviews. Result: 97.6% match with Kalpana Chawla's known voice. The audio distortion was consistent with low-orbit comms under atmospheric interference. No obvious signs of AA generation. This wasn't a fake. Then why wasn't IT released? NASA has always made space mission audio publicly available. Even tragic events. Even Challenger. But this? Never mentioned. Not by Houston. Not by press. Not in the 248-page CADE report. It simply didn't exist. Until it did. A NASA technician breaks his silence. In 2019, During a podcast on deep space anomalies, a guest dropped a bombshell. He claimed to be a former NASA communications technician stationed at Johnson Space Center in 2003. His story: we received the secondary comms burst from Columbia before re-entry. Not on the public channel, internal only, emergency encryption. It was flagged and sent straight to level 4 internal. We were told not to listen. I listened anyway. And what did he hear? It wasn't static. It was screaming. The kind of fear that doesn't come from fire. The kind of fear that comes when you see something impossible. He was fired 3 days later. NDA enforced. Security clearance revoked. What did they see? We know this. The Columbia crew reported flashing lights outside the window days before re-entry. Several private astronomers recorded odd moving lights near the shuttle hours before contact was lost. The leaked audio refers to 3 of something outside the spacecraft. 3 what? Objects? Entities? Ships? Audio breakdown by AI. An open-source group fed the file into a neural net trained on over 100,000 hours of space comms. It found 3 additional voices in the background. 2 men, 1 woman, all overlapping and intelligible except for 5 clear words. Shut it down. Get back now. It's surrounding us. The internet reacts. Once the audio hit Reddit and X, formerly Twitter, it spread like wildfire. Hashtags trended worldwide. Columbia signal. They're not from Earth. S107 cover-up. Some called it a hoax. Some called it a confession. But the pattern was undeniable. Whenever the file went viral, it vanished again. Accounts banned. Videos deleted. Threads erased. Again and again. Government response: none. No agency acknowledged the file. NASA's press office refused comment. The FBI released a vague statement: we do not engage in speculation about unverified media artifacts. Which is strange. Because if it's fake, why not say so? Why not debunk it? Missing minutes in official timeline. According to NASA's official log, Columbia lost contact at 8 hours 59 minutes and 32 seconds a.m., but recovered tracking data from an amateur satellite network suggests a final transmission was sent at 9 hours 0 minutes and 47 seconds a.m., a full minute later. That's the same window where the leaked audio fits. So, what happened during that minute? Behind the scenes, control room whispers. A NASA employee speaking anonymously to a journalist in 2022 said this: after the last signal, the room went dead. We knew something wasn't right. We saw something on the HUD just for a second. A shape. It wasn't ours. That feed erased from every backup. Deleted. No explanation. Pattern recognized. This isn't the only time astronauts reported non-human presence. Apollo 11, Buzz Aldrin, STS-48, Discovery's crew, even Soviet cosmonauts from the Mir space station. Time after time, they see something, they say something, and then it's buried. A journal entry never meant to be read. Before launch, Kalpana Chawla wrote in her mission log, I've had dreams, bright flashes, silent visitors. I wake with the sense that something waits for us up there. Not malevolent, but not human. Poetic or prophetic. UFOs in orbit. The Pentagon's UAP Task Force greeted in 2020 has declassified several incidents involving UAPs near orbital objects. Some show craft moving against gravity. Some vanish mid-frame. Some approach satellites, then reverse direction at impossible speeds. And at least 2 reports describe triangular configurations matching the Columbia report. If this is true, what does IT mean? That NASA knew. That astronauts saw something. That space isn't empty. and that our governments may be hiding first contact from the public, or worse, that it wasn't the first. What if the audio was a warning? What if those final words weren't fear? What if they were a message, a last attempt to document what's out there, to tell the world, we're not alone, they've been watching, and they're not from Earth? End of part 3. A voice from beyond. The screen was real. The voice was human. The fear, unmistakable. So now we ask, who are they? Why were they near Columbia? And why has that voice been silenced for 20 years? Was it panic? Or was it the moment of contact? Because once you hear it, you can't unhear it. And once you believe it, you'll never look at the stars the same way again. Encrypted logs. Crew reported dancing lights in orbit. They were beautiful. They were silent. And they weren't supposed to be there. Hours before Columbia vanished, something strange was recorded not by Earth, but by the astronauts themselves. Encrypted logs. Classified until now. Inside, the chilling message. Observed light clusters in spiral motion. Non-satellite behavior. Coordinated, intelligent, similar to Lubbock Lights phenomenon. STS-107 log entry, T plus 15 hours 7 minutes and 44 seconds. Spiraling lights in deep orbit. 3 crew members documented it in the encrypted mission journal. They saw 5 bright objects hovering far off their port side. They blinked, shifted, and spun in perfect spiral formation. Not meteors, not satellites, not man-made. The parallel from the past. September 1951, Lubbock, Texas. Hundreds of witnesses, professors, students, civilians looked up at the night sky. What they saw: glowing blue-white lights, flying in V-shapes, dancing, spiraling, coordinated. They became known as the Lubbock Lights. Investigated by the U.S. Air Force. Never explained. Never debunked. Now imagine, half a century later, the same lights appear in Earth's orbit. Not over a quiet Texas town, but outside a multi-billion-dollar spacecraft, with 7 astronauts watching from inside. Why encrypt the logs? NASA encrypts mission logs only under 3 conditions: threat to national security, foreign satellite intrusion, detection of unknown aerial phenomena. The Columbia crew's log triggered encryption protocols on all 3. So, what did they see? And why haven't we seen it too? File name: DUSK_trace_77-STS107.log. A file with that name appeared briefly on an anonymous FTP server in 2018. It was only available for 9 minutes. Inside were segments of TextJag, partially corrupted, but one entry stood out: unidentified lights maintained formation for 11 minutes. No heat signature detected. One object appeared to mirror the shuttle's orientation. Visual contact lost at 14:52 Zulu. That's less than 6 hours before Columbia disintegrated over Texas. A physicist weighs in. Dr. Eli Romero, a former NASA flight systems analyst, reviewed the logs. His verdict: these weren't flares, not auroras, not reflections. You don't get a perfect 5-point spiral at 17,000 miles per hour. This is tech, not nature. Coordinated maneuvers. The log suggests the lights moved in sync, changing speed, matching trajectory, orbiting the shuttle in a deliberate pattern, as if observing, recording, or communicating. Transmissions interfered. After the appearance of the lights, Columbia's external camera feed began glitching. Small blackouts, distortions. NASA marked it as solar interference, but independent signal analysts noted a strange pattern. The glitches followed a repeating frequency, every 1.618 seconds. The golden ratio. a number often associated with natural harmony or intelligent design. Crew reactions recovered transcripts. A partial voice log allegedly extracted from backup systems contains this exchange. Commander Rick Husband, you seeing this? Kalpana Chawla, copy. That's 5, maybe 6. They're dancing. Unnamed voice. Not like anything I've seen. Should we call it in? Rick, let's just log and observe. Don't panic. Kalpana, it's kind of beautiful. NASA's response. No mention of light anomalies. No official discussion. No visual evidence released. The event was omitted from the public mission logs. Buried, just like the scream in Part 3. Just like the object in Part 2. Deleted images. Columbia's external cameras captured hundreds of still images during orbit. Only 29 were released publicly. An insider whistleblower claimed a full sequence showing 5 glowing objects in spiral form was pulled from the archive before CADE review. Classified by DOD under non-human atmospheric interference. If true, why label it non-human? Why hide it? The witness who didn't know he was watching. Amateur astronomer Leo Wexler using a custom-built telescope in Cholula is tracking Columbia during its final orbit. He later reviewed his footage frame by frame. What he saw: 5 white points appeared in a rotating ring around the shuttle. They pulsed, not randomly or rhythmically, then gone. He tried to publish his findings. 3 days later, his website was hacked. His data wiped. What were the lights? Theory 1. Extraterrestrial probes. Miniature autonomous crafts observing Earth's space missions unseen by the public, but visible to astronauts. Theory 2. Interdimensional surveillance. Beings from alternate dimensions sending light-based drones capable of phasing through matter and appearing only in specific electromagnetic spectrums. Theory 3. Earth's shadow forces. Black-budget Earth-tech experimental surveillance crafts from secret agencies, testing reactions, controlling narratives. The pattern returns. Similar spiral lights were reported in Oslo, Norway 2009, the famous Norwegian spiral. Moscow Sky Anomaly 2011, multiple spiraling blue lights. Western Australia 2010, spiral-shaped lights above Perth. Each time, governments claimed missile tests. Each time, no conclusive evidence. Now, those spirals show up right before Columbia's final descent. Coincidence? Or contact? What if the lights were a warning? What if they weren't there to attack, but to signal something? What if they were trying to show the crew, this isn't your domain? You've reached the edge. Turn back. But humans don't listen. We never do. End of Part 4. Dancing in the dark. The lights danced. The crew watched. And hours later, they were gone. So were the logs. So were the images. But the truth? Still spiraling just beyond our reach. Was it a message? Was it a threat? Or was it something older, deeper, watching us from orbit? Since the beginning of spaceflight, the crew saw it. They wrote it down. And then they vanished. So ask yourself, if 5 unknown lights spiraled around Earth's most advanced shuttle, and no one said a word, what else have they seen that we were never meant to know? Pentagon UAP files the UFO shadow near Columbia. 1 photo, 1 shape, 1 shadow, and then nothing. In 2021, the U.S. Department of Defense declassified a small batch of files from the UAP task force. Most of the world focused on the Navy pilot video's gimbal, go fast, tic-tac, but buried deep in an appendix, under a file name no journalist recognized, was something different, something older, something connected to Columbia. File code, UEP Shadow C77, SDS. It described a blurry black and white image. Captured by a satellite. Timestamp, February 1st, 2003. Location, Upper Thermosphere. Subject, STS-107 Space Shuttle Columbia. But the focus, not the shuttle, something behind it, a shape, small, pale, smooth, described in the metadata as anomalous aerial object, cylindrical, with tapered edges, white gloss, non-reflective to solar flare, movement inconsistent with orbital physics, silhouette matches previous UAP TIC-TAC structure. The TIC-TAC returns. This wasn't the first time the U.S. military had seen this shape. 2000 for USS Nimitz encounter. 2015 USS Roosevelt incidents. 2019 East Coast swarm events. Each time, the object was described the same way. No wings, no engines, no heat. Moves without inertia. Can hover then disappear. Silent. Now, one appeared next to a NASA shuttle. But here's what makes IT chilling. The Columbia incident happened 18 years before the term TIC-TAC UFO became public. How did they know? How could a file written in 2003 reference an object we didn't have a name for until 2017? Answer: they've always known. They just never told us. The file was removed in 48 hours. 2 days after its quiet release, the document disappeared. Pulled from the Pentagon archive. Gone from the public-facing site. The direct link now shows a 403 forbidden error. No explanation. No redirect. Just a void. The image nowhere to be found. The original satellite image was never released. Only a textual description survived, screenshot by our Reddit user before deletion. But several UAP researchers have tried to recreate what was seen based on those notes. The result? A cigar-shaped craft, floating just 300 meters behind Columbia, at an angle that defied orbital drift, casting no shadow. What the file implied? The language wasn't technical. It wasn't uncertain. It said, object demonstrates behavior inconsistent with any known aerial or orbital technology. Possible UAP origin, non-terrestrial. Recommend redaction under Title 10, Section 130. That section, it deals with withholding critical defense-related intelligence from public release. So, what did they fear we'd learn? Another whistleblower speaks. A former analyst from the Defense Intelligence Agency DIA gave a rare anonymous interview in 2022. His claim: we had satellite footage showing a UAP tailing Columbia for over 6 minutes. It was watching, following, then it phased out, like it warped. That part was cut from the version sent to NASA. When asked why it wasn't shared publicly, because if you show a UFO next to a shuttle that exploded, the world starts asking if it was responsible. A machine observer. Some believe the TIC-TAC wasn't a ship but a drone. Not operated, autonomous. A watcher, a data collector, sent to monitor human activity in space. If so, he show up during re-entry. Why risk being seen? Or was that the point? WAS Columbia targeted. Let's piece it together. Crew reports dancing lights in spiral formation. An audio leak says they're not from Earth. Radar anomaly before explosion. Classified logs encrypted mid-mission. Now a TIC-TAC-shaped object tailing the shuttle hours before contact is lost. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern. Pentagon language. Non-adversarial technology. In their 2021 UAP report, the DOD used strange wording. They didn't say enemy technology. They said, objects appear to exhibit non-adversarial behavior but are not consistent with known defense platforms. What does non-adversarial mean? Not hostile, not friendly, just other. That's exactly how Columbia's object behaved. No attack, No interference, just presence, a dangerous observer. Some theorists believe these UAPs aren't passive. They don't shoot, they don't speak, but their presence disrupts things. Navigation, communication, stability. What if Columbia's systems weren't damaged by foam? What if the presence of the UAP interfered with critical telemetry? A passive KIO, an intentional, or experimental? UFOs near disasters. Look at the data. Chernobyl 1986. Multiple witnesses saw orb-shaped lights above Reactor 4 before the meltdown. Fukushima 2011. Unidentified lights seen in satellite images days before the tsunami. Challenger 1986. Some amateur photos show a white streak near the shuttle, never officially explained. Now Columbia joins that list. Each time a UAP shadow lingers near disaster, are they warning us or studying how we die? An internal NASA memo leaked in 2020 via Freedom of Information Act FOIA request. Subject line: Orbital proximity event UAP review requested. Line 3: Unidentified aerial object trail OV-102 during final re-entry phase. Object observed by Dodge satellite platform Panther 6. OV-102 was Columbia's designation. This wasn't a conspiracy blog. This was NASA mailing the Department of Defense, begging for answers. The theory: cosmic lab rats. If the UAP was watching Columbia, and if they've been seen near Chernobyl, near disasters, near testing grounds, then what are we? Subjects? Experiments? Warning beacons? What if the TAC wasn't alone? The Pentagon UAP report says multiple UAPs often appear in formation. What if the TAC was just one of many? A scout? A probe? What else was hiding unseen in orbit? And why did Columbia see it then never return? End of Part 5. The shadow that followed. It floated. It hovered. It moved like no machine we've ever built. And then it disappeared just like Columbia. But its memory remains, buried in deleted files, blurred in missing frames, and whispered by the few who dared to look closer. Ask yourself, if the Pentagon knew something followed Columbia, why show us the truth and leak to delete it days later? And what does that tell us about the skies? About space? About who else is out there watching? Wormhole theory: was Columbia pulled into another dimension? What if it never exploded? What if Columbia didn't crash at all? What if it vanished? This theory has spread quietly across dark forums, whistleblower chats, encrypted blogs. Columbia wasn't destroyed. It was taken by something beyond us. No smoke, no fire, no wreckage, just a ripple in space, and a ship that slipped through. A wormhole or a trap. The idea is bold, shocking, but not impossible. The theory: a non-human craft created a temporary space fold, a micro-wormhole, just large enough to engulf Columbia during re-entry, causing it to phase out of our dimension. No explosion, no body parts, no debris field that makes sense, because the shuttle didn't fall. It disappeared. What triggered this theory? A strange note buried in an unofficial NASA memo, leaked in 2016. Localized gravitational distortion anomaly detected during OV-102's final descent. Lasted to 0.4 seconds. Not consistent with orbital decay or atmospheric pressure. No known origin. Localized gravity in low Earth orbit. That shouldn't happen unless something opened. Phenomena seen from Earth. Eyewitnesses on the ground saw more than fireballs. Some saw the sky ripple. A pilot flying above New Mexico said it looked like heat waves in a circle, expanding outward, like light was bending. And then I saw it just for a moment. Columbia was there, then gone. What did he see? An illusion? Or the moment space bent? Spiral theory returns. Remember the spiral lights from part 4? Some scientists believe spiral formations are the natural optical footprint of a wormhole forming, just like Norway 2009 spiral, China 2020 blue vortex, Australia's cyclone spiral captured by satellite. Each time governments blamed missile tests. But in Columbia's case, there was no missile, just light and absence. Recovered sensor data. A leaked internal report from NORAD hinted at a plasma displacement anomaly at the moment Columbia vanished from radar. The anomaly lasted 2.6 seconds, formed a circular signature, expanding outward, interfered with comms across multiple frequencies. That kind of energy, not from foam, not from metal, from a doorway. Audio goes silent. Columbia's final comms were normal. Until they weren't. No distortion. Just nothing. No mayday. No scream. No mechanical fail. A perfect blackout. Like they fell behind a wall that our signals can't cross. The collector theory. Some believe UFOs aren't here to fight. They're not here to save us, either. They're here to collect ships, technology, people, samples of intelligent life preserved, like museum pieces or test subjects. What better opportunity than a shuttle re-entering orbit vulnerable, alone, exposed? Columbia wasn't destroyed. It was extracted. That's the core of the wormhole theory. And it's gaining traction. Who's spreading this theory? It didn't come from YouTube. It started with a scientist, Dr. Clarice Renko, a former quantum field analyst for ESA. In a now-deleted symposium clip, she said, "The UAP near Columbia emitted a frequency we don't recognize. Not light, not sound, not radiation, but something else, a resonance. We believe it opened something, a tear." She was removed from her post a week later, silenced, but not forgotten. Evidence from other missions. Apollo 20 classified. Unofficial. Soyuz 7 Soviet reports of beings in light. STS-115 camera blackout near bright flash. Each time a crew reports strange lights. Each time instruments glitch. Each time they return with less data than expected. But Columbia, no return, only questions. Kalpana's final LOG unconfirmed, a recovered filly allegedly from her personal tablet. Final entry reads, "I'm seeing something. The spiral again. It's above us now. I think it's opening." Rick saying to brace. But it's not turbulence. I feel light, not fear. If this is it, we're not alone. Was that real? Or a fabrication? You decide. What is a wormhole, really? In physics, a wormhole is a theoretical passage through space-time, a shortcut across dimensions. Possible, but unstable. Some scientists believe they could appear naturally, or be created with enough energy, like, say, from a non-human craft. A ship advanced enough to fold the universe like paper. Slip in, slip out. No body. Nitrogen monoxide burial. Yes, Columbia's debris was found. But not all of it. Not even most of it. And here's what's bizarre. Some pieces didn't match original shuttle composition, according to unofficial forensics. Portions of hull exhibited fused molecular layering inconsistent with heat shielding. Some internal panels had microfractures from the inside out, almost like something pressed through the shuttle, or from another pressure reality. The door theory. If the UAP opened a doorway, was it intentional? Was it a test? Or was Columbia unlucky? Right place, wrong moment. Gone in a flash of gravity and light. Why Columbia? Why that shuttle? Why that moment? One theory: Columbia was carrying experimental instruments for space-time resonance testing, highly classified, allegedly aimed at measuring distortions near Earth's magnetic edge. The perfect bait for whoever or whatever's watching. If true, where are they now? If the crew didn't die, where did they go? Another dimension, another timeline, a containment vessel drifting silently in deep space. Or maybe they're still alive, just unreachable, beyond the veil. A final signal. In 2007, a radio telescope in Chile picked up an unexplained burst. Not fast radio, not pulsar, a coded signal, pulsing every 7.07 seconds. Mathematicians converted the waveform into binary. It spelled one word: alive. Coincidence? Or a whisper from the other side? End of part 6. The doorway opens. Columbia didn't explode. It vanished, a wrinkle in space, a fold in time, a moment too strange to comprehend. So now we ask, what if wormholes aren't science fiction? What if they're tools by watchers far beyond us? And what if our astronauts weren't lost, just taken elsewhere? We didn't lose contact. We lost access. NASA's black box to seconds of missing data. 2 seconds. That's all. Just 2 seconds. But in space, 2 seconds can mean everything. A course correction, a loss of control, a cry for help, or a doorway opening and closing forever. NASA's own report confirms it. A 2.03-second gap in telemetry data was recorded during the final descent of STS-107. The cause of this data loss remains unknown. Recovery attempts failed. Telemetry, the shuttle's black box, the core, the heartbeat, gone. 2 seconds, deleted from history. What was lost? In a digital world, 2 seconds is over 300 kilobytes of raw data. That includes crew vitals, cabin pressure, hull integrity, external object tracking, audio logs. But in this case, nothing. Those 2 seconds never existed, or were erased. NASA calls it a dropout, a technical error during data transmission. But here's the thing. NASA has multiple redundancy systems, 3 backup paths, internal loop recording, real-time storage, and replay buffer. So how does all of every single system fail at the same instant? Unless something didn't want that moment recorded. The debrief classified. An internal debrief was held in 2004. It wasn't public. Not even the families were told. One anonymous source inside the Johnson Space Center later claimed that missing gap was flagged by both NASA and DOD analysts. Too precise, too clean, like a scalpel had cut it out. A cosmic scalpel, or a hand reaching from another reality. Scientists speak out. Astrophysicist Dr. Lena Perajui spoke about it in 2021. Telemetry doesn't just vanish. It degrades, it crops, but this, it's like it was wiped perfectly. No noise, no garbage data, just nothing. No static, no trace, just silence. The final words, then silence. Audio logs before the blackout were routine. Status check, altitude confirmation, and then a single sentence. Something's following us. Cut. No scream, no explosion, just 2 seconds of nothing. Then the logs resume as if nothing happened. But everything had. A signal that never came back. At the exact same timestamp, Mission Control reported a data spike. A signal not from the shuttle. A short burst lasting less than 0.2 seconds. Then it vanished. Analyzed months later, it showed non-terrestrial frequencies. A modulation outside known radio wave architecture. Like someone else was transmitting, and we just caught the edge of it. a shadow in the silence. Some theorists suggest that the 2-second blackout was the exact window the Declassified UFO engaged. Not with lasers, not with force, but with technology. A fugue generator, a gravity fold, a dimensional gate, a device so precise it shut out every human sensor for just long enough to do whatever it came to do. What if time was altered? Another theory: the shuttle didn't vanish. Time did. For 2 seconds, the Columbia crew entered a time displacement, a fracture in space-time. They moved forward or sideways through a dimension we don't yet understand. When they returned, nothing worked quite right. The heat shield, the comms, the trajectory, all off, by just enough to tear the shuttle apart, or cover up what really happened. The Columbia timeline doesn't add up. Review the timeline. It breaks logic. Radar tracked the shuttle. Telemetry confirmed cabin status. Then blackout. Then catastrophic breakup. But here's the twist. Several amateur radio operators monitoring NASA's open channels reported no sound at all from Columbia in the final minute, not even before the blackout. They claim it was as if the shuttle ceased transmission long before NASA said it did. Were the official logs edited after the fact? The missing data theory. Independent engineers ran simulations. They discovered something wild. If you reconstruct the missing 2 seconds using standard orbital data, the shuttle's angle of descent becomes impossible, like it suddenly tilted, then reset, as if something nudged it, as if someone else had the controls. Why would NASA lie? This is the question that haunts truth seekers. Why hide 2 seconds? Why not just say, "We lost signal"? Unless those 2 seconds hold the key to everything. The lights, the UFO, the wormhole, a deeper secret. One declassified CIA memo dated February 2, 2003 was accidentally posted during the 2017 FOIA dump. Subject: Event Code AL77 Spacecraft Proximity Disturbance. Line 6 says, "Gap in telemetry consistent with suppression field recorded during Event Hummingbird 1989 and Event Delta Prison 1996. Recommend redaction of 2.03 second segment. Potential dimensional breach event." Dimensional breach. The CIA used those exact words. That's no coincidence. That's a hidden war. What was supposed to happen? What if Columbia wasn't doomed? What if it was returning just fine? What if something intercepted it during those missing seconds? Not to destroy, but to study, to pull something out, or put something in. Parallel universe. There's one final theory. The crew died in our reality, but in another. They survived. They're still flying, still orbiting, still trying to make contact. And those 2 seconds are the glitch in the matrix. A misfire, a leak between worlds, mysterious static calls. Some of the astronauts' families report strange things. Calls at odd hours. No voice, just static, but familiar static. One widow swears she heard her husband whisper, "We're not lost. We're just not back yet." End of part 7. The silence between heartbeats. 2 seconds. No data. No explanation. No peace. In space, 2 seconds is an eternity. And in that eternity, something found them. Ask yourself, why would an advanced object erase exactly 2 seconds? What happened in that gap between reality and the unknown? And if the truth is hidden in those missing heartbeats, will we ever hear it again? NASA's black box, 2 seconds of missing data. What if the most important clue was silence? Not a screen, not static, just missing. 2 seconds, gone. NASA confirmed it. A gap in the data stream. 2.03 seconds of black box data during Columbia's final descent. Their explanation: unrecoverable transmission dropout due to signal loss. But many ask, how does the most advanced space agency on Earth just lose 2 seconds? And more importantly, what was happening during that time? 2 seconds equals forever. In everyday life, 2 seconds is nothing. But in space, it's a lifetime. In 2 seconds, a shuttle at re-entry speed travels over 16 kilometers. In 2 seconds, life signs can spike or vanish. In 2 seconds, the UAP could make contact, could abduct, could alter time. This isn't sci-fi. This is from NASA's own mission logs. Document STS-107 telemetry brief redacted. In a leaked internal report dated March 4, 2003, a section titled Anomaly C3A, data gap reads, no signal, no packet loss pattern, no buffering delay. Gap is computed out and not recoverable from backups. Suspected interference, M-field compression or localized dimensional distortion. Wait, dimensional distortion. That's not engineering talk. That's something else. Deeper than a glitch. NASA has triple redundancy systems. That means data goes to Earth, data goes to the onboard black box, data goes to a backup satellite channel. But in this case, all three failed, all at once, in the exact same 2.03 seconds. No corruption, no scrambling, just absence. A perfect blackout. The UFO shadow matches the timestamp. Now here's where it gets darker. In Part 5, we mentioned the TIC-shaped object that appeared behind Columbia. The Pentagon UAP report timestamps that sighting at 13 hours 58 minutes and 47 seconds UTC. The exact beginning of the black box blackout. 13 hours 58 minutes and 47 seconds UTC. Coincidence or confirmation? What could do that? Only one known phenomenon could cause that kind of multi-channel data loss. A field suppression event, a bubble of manipulated space, a cloaking zone, something that doesn't just block communication. It removes reality from our detection, like someone turned off the camera of the universe abruptly. NSA memo, resonant strike possibility unlikely, but not zero. In 2018, an NSA leak revealed an old memo about shuttle re-entries. Buried in the middle, one line stands out. Certain UAPs may possess capabilities that cause resonant strikes, brief erasure of electronic memory states within a limited radius. Shuttle systems operate within that radius. A strike would leave no trace, only questions. Strange frequencies detected. Several amateur radio astronomers monitoring shuttle frequencies during re-entry caught a foreign signal pulse during the blackout. It was short, sharp, non-human in origin, repeated exactly once, decoded into waveform. It resembled harmonic spikes commonly associated with microwave wormhole simulations. Could this signal have opened something? Or worse, closed something? What was the crew doing? We may never know what happened inside the cabin during those 2 seconds. But consider this. Right before the blackout, crew vitals were normal. Immediately after, heart rate spikes, accelerometer anomalies, cabin pressure drop. It was as if the shuttle hit something, but not a solid object. A rift, a missing sentence. In an unreleased audio log recovered by a Freedom of Information Act request partially redacted, the last audible moment before the blackout is this. Do you guys see that? It's, and then, silence. No static, no feedback, no impact sound, just nothingness. Then audio returns with chaos, shouting, heavy breathing, instrument alarms, theories from inside. NASA's own retired staff have spoken out. Engineer Michael E. Drew anonymously said, Telemetry doesn't just vanish. Even during Challenger, we had partial data until the end. Columbia was different. It was like something cut reality. Just snipped it. That word again. Cut. As if someone edited reality. A strange symbol. A forensic technician claimed that in one frame of the recovered footage from an onboard monitoring can, during the 0.3 seconds before blackout, a glowing curve-shaped distortion was visibly curved like a spiral or a sigil. It wasn't fire. It wasn't plasma. It looked drawn, encoded, an alien mark, or a signature. The silence surrounds more than data. What NASA doesn't talk about, what most public reports avoid, is that Columbia wasn't the only mission with unexplained gaps. STS-115, STS-80, even Apollo 12, each has a window of seconds lost, each aligned with UAP sightings or anomalies. Is this a pattern? Is something or someone editing the record a digital mirage? There's a growing theory among UFO researchers. The 2-second blackout wasn't just missing data. It was the erasure of an event. Something happened, too big to explain, too strange to accept, too revealing to be allowed into public record. So it was removed, as if history itself were photoshopped. The memory code theory, a more radical idea. The blackout wasn't in the equipment. It was in the minds of the crew. Some believe the UFO-UAP field may include neurological dampening, disrupting not only sensors, but human memory. Could the 2-second blackout have erased not just data, but awareness? Did the crew forget what they saw? Or worse, remember it until the end? I woke up screaming. One surviving family member claims they received a voicemail the night of the disaster. It came from an unknown number, only 6 seconds long. It played only once and could never be replayed. But the message, they said it was her brother's voiceover of the astronauts, screaming, whispering, "It wasn't an accident we saw." Then cut. 2 seconds. 2 seconds that shook the sky. Not from sound, not from fire, but from absence. Ask yourself, what can remove sound, light, data, time all at once? What kind of force needs only 2 seconds to change everything? And if we lost something in that gap, did something else find it? NASA's black box isn't broken. It's hiding a key. Whistleblower silenced after claiming non-human debris. He spoke up. He warned, and then he vanished. John Matthews was a NASA engineer, a top materials analyst. He saw something no one else did. Fragments, metal shards, not from this earth. They're not human technology. His words sent shockwaves, and then silence. What did John find? After Columbia's tragic loss, NASA launched a secret recovery mission. Recovered debris was shipped to classified labs. John had clearance. He examined the pieces. He saw alloys no one recognized. No corrosion. No known composition. No manufacturing marks. It defied explanation. Extraordinary claims and the consequences. John reported his findings. To whom? Managers. Scientists. The chain of command. But his warnings were met with one response: classified. Don't talk. Destroy your notes. Forget what you saw. Weeks later, John disappeared. No cause. No messages. No trace. A warning. Some say John was silenced. Others whisper he went into hiding. His family refuses to comment. The non-human debris. What made the debris non-human? John described it as a metal so light it floats, yet harder than titanium. Edges that reflect light without distortion. Embedded nanostructures that self-repair. This is technology centuries ahead. Government cover-up. Was NASA pressured? Did other agencies get involved? FBI, CIA, the Pentagon. Leaked emails obtained by investigative journalists revealed tension. One email read, "Urgent, control information on debris. Stop leaks immediately. UFO connection." John's claims revive decades-old theories. Was Columbia's destruction linked to UFO interference? Was the shuttle carrying something extraterrestrial? Or did something extraterrestrial take the shuttle and the technology within? Whistleblowers who dared. John isn't alone. Across the world, other insiders have come forward. Pilots who saw strange craft near missions. Technicians who found unexplainable metals. Scientists who were warned to stay silent. The price of truth. Many whistleblowers have paid a high price. Careers ruined. Families threatened. Voices silenced. Why the silence? What is so dangerous about this information? Why hide evidence of non-human technology? Pieces of a larger puzzle. Is the missing debris a piece of the puzzle? Is Columbia's true fate entangled with something beyond official reports? If you were John, would you keep silent? Or would you speak? What could John have revealed? What if this debris could unlock secrets of space travel, energy beyond nuclear, propulsion beyond rockets, a shadow government? Some believe a hidden faction controls this knowledge, an elite group deciding what humanity can see and know. The implications. If non-human debris is real, what does that mean for our understanding of history, our place in the universe, the future of technology? Your thoughts. Is John's disappearance coincidence, or a deliberate act to bury truth? The question remains, who watches the watchers? And more chillingly, who silences the truth? John Matthews didn't just vanish. He vanished with a secret. Emotional analysis. What if IT wasn't a crash but an abduction? What if they're still out there? Not dead, not lost, but taken. Imagine you're a family member, your husband, your wife, your child, 7 souls on a mission to explore the stars. Then silence. No crash, no bodies, no closure, just nothing. How would you feel? Grief? Denial? Or hope? Hope is a dangerous thing. It keeps you alive. It drives you to believe. Believe that maybe there's somewhere else. Somewhere else. What if your loved ones are drifting, caught in an alien ship's cage? Or a dimensional prison, under watch? Not victims, not prisoners, just specimens. The mind games. Think about it. Would you want to believe your family died in flames, or that they are alive, somewhere, watching, waiting? Which truth is easier to bear? The torture of uncertainty. Families of Columbia's crew have lived with that question for decades. No final goodbyes, no graves, only whispers. Some report strange signals, late-night calls with silence, faint, unexplainable voices. Is this reality? Or are these just echoes of grief? Are these memories distorted by hope and pain? What if the government knows? What if the truth is hidden, locked away, censored, because it's too terrifying, too powerful? The price of belief. Would you risk everything to know, or stay silent to protect what's left? A family's choice. Many chose to fight, demand answers, search for signs. Others chose denial, living with the official story. If IT was abduction, if aliens took them, studied them, are we next? Who watches? Who controls the truth? Who decides what we can face? The mask of normalcy. Society tells us, accept official explanations, forget the mysteries, move on. But deep down, questions linger. What if you could choose? Would you accept a harsh reality, or cling to a hope that transcends reason. The void between hope and fear, that void is where many families live. Between knowing and not knowing, between truth and silence. A final thought. What if belief is the only thing holding us together? What if, somewhere beyond the stars, they're still alive, waiting? If it were you, what would you choose to believe? From Flight 19 to STS-107, the pattern of disappearances. Lost, gone, vanished without a trace. Flight 19. 5 Navy bombers vanished over the Bermuda Triangle in 1945. No wreckage, no bodies, no explanation. USS Scorpion, a nuclear submarine, disappeared in 1968, lost beneath the waves. No signals, no survivors. Space Shuttle Columbia STS-107, destroyed during re-entry in 2003. Yet, strange data gaps and unexplained signals remain. What do they have in common? Lights. Strange, unexplained lights. Flight 19 pilots reported bright orange lights in the sky before disappearing. USS Scorpion sonar detected unknown glowing objects nearby before silence. STS-107's telemetry blackout coincided with TIC-TAC-shaped UAP sightings. A cosmic pattern. Could these disappearances be connected? Different eras, different vehicles, yet the same puzzle. Evidence of anomalies. Flight 19's last transmission mentioned a fleet of lights moving alongside. The Navy investigation was inconclusive. The Bermuda Triangle remains a hotspot for missing crafts. USS Scorpion's wreckage shows no explosion. Damage patterns are inconsistent with known failures. Scientists suspect external interference. STS-107's 2-second data blackout lines up with Pentagon UAP files showing shadow objects near the shuttle. A theory of intervention. Could a hidden force be involved? Watching, guiding, taking. Some propose advanced extraterrestrials use these events as tests. Others say it's a warning. The Triangle and beyond. The Bermuda Triangle is just one piece. Similar black zones exist. The Dragon's Triangle in the Pacific, the Michigan Triangle in the Great Lakes, the Baltic Sea anomaly. Are these natural phenomena or alien gateways? What if technology is involved? Advanced technology beyond human understanding. Wormholes, gravity manipulation, dimensional portals. STS-107's wormhole theory from Part 6 fits this pattern. Maybe Flight 19 and USS Scorpion faced the same fate. Are we missing a larger picture? Disappearances aren't isolated. They're chapters in a cosmic narrative. What if the pattern shows a silent war between human exploration and forces beyond Earth? The price of exploration. The cost is high. Human lives, unknown sacrifices. Yet, humanity continues to explore. Is IT worth IT? Are we ready for the truth? Your thoughts. Are these vanishings coincidences or deliberate acts? Final puzzle piece. The lights, the disappearances, the silence. Are they warnings or invitations? If you were there, would you venture into the unknown, knowing the risks? A cosmic mystery, one that spans oceans and stars. Flight 19 to Columbia. Different journeys. Same dark question. Where do the lost go? Science fiction or classified reality? We've seen the movies. We've read the stories. Aliens. Disappearing astronauts. Secret missions gone wrong. But what if they weren't fiction? What if the scripts in Hollywood were based on real classified files? What if the writers weren't imagining? What if they were leaking? The films that warned US 2001, A space odyssey, a mission interrupted by a strange signal on the moon. Interstellar astronauts trapped in dimensions beyond time. Contact scientists who discover transmission not meant for Earth. Close encounters, an agreement between governments and unknown visitors. They were called fiction, but they felt too real. Why? Because sometimes fiction is the only way to tell the truth. Hollywood and intelligence agencies. Classified CIA documents show cooperation with movie producers for decades. Scripts reviewed, scenes altered, messages embedded. Why does the Pentagon have a liaison office in Hollywood? Why are UFOs featured in hundreds of blockbusters, always with similar details? TIC crafts, missing time, abductions, cover-ups. Where did that knowledge come from? Based on unknown sources. Some screenwriters have admitted, a guy in a suit gave us a folder, no name, no ID, just said, use this. What was in those folders? Sketches, mission logs, debrief transcripts, files that never made it to the public, but found their way into fiction. The shapes match. Remember the TIC object seen near Columbia. Now look at the ships in sci-fi films from the 1990s onward. Oval, silent, reflective, seamless. Why do movies get it so right? Unless they're not guessing. The collective preparation. What if science fiction was conditioning? Not to deceive, but to prepare us. For disclosure, for acceptance, for something too big to drop all at once. Could that be why, after every UFO movie, the public becomes just a little more open? The timeline lines up. 1947, Roswell. 1951, Lubbock Lights. 1968, 2001, A Space Odyssey. 1980s, 1990s, Alien Invasion Film Surge. 2020s, UAPs officially acknowledged by governments. Coincidence or controlled rollout? Is fiction the safest truth? Because no one can be silenced for writing a script. But whistleblowers disappear, just like John Matthews. What if John's story was turned into a movie? Would anyone know it was real? Would anyone dare to say it? The mask of entertainment. Maybe we've been watching real events, wrapped in CGI, packaged as thrillers, hidden in plain sight, and we clapped, bought popcorn, and moved on. If it's true, if Columbia's disappearance wasn't just tragic, but orchestrated, if missing time, unknown materials, and glowing lights are all real, then we've been told the truth again and again. Just not directly. Why hide IT? Why fictionalize the truth? To protect society? To delay panic? Or to make the unbelievable slowly believable? Open your eyes. The patterns are there. In books, in games, in shows, signals, whispers, warnings. What if STS-2107 wasn't the last? What if more missions have disappeared? Hidden from headlines, deleted from databases. Fiction can't cover everything. Some truths leak through. Will the truth be told? Or will it continue through metaphors and blockbusters? Maybe your favorite movie is someone's real memory. The final question. If truth is hidden in stories, have we already seen the truth and just didn't know it? Science fiction isn't just a mirror. It might be a message, a warning, or an invitation. Truth is out there, but are we allowed to see it? We've followed the trail. We've seen the patterns, the missing seconds, the vanishing crews, the unexplainable lights. But now comes the real question. Do you believe it? Belief, yes. Permission. Belief is personal, but permission to know the truth, that's political. Control. Hidden. Governments collect the data, Agencies seal the reports. Whistleblowers vanish. Thousands of pages redacted. The U.S. government has released thousands of documents on UAPs. But the most important parts, blacked out, redacted, gone. Why? If there's nothing to hide, why keep hiding it? Who decides what's true? Truth used to be about evidence. Now it's about access. You only know what you're allowed to know. So who controls the truth? The Pentagon, NASA, private aerospace contractors, or something above them? If UFOs have interfered, if non-human intelligences have disrupted human missions, if they've monitored our technology, even abducted our astronauts, then who's really in control? US or them? A truth too dangerous. Some believe disclosure would cause panic, religions shaken, governments questioned, reality rewritten. Others say we're ready. We've seen too much, heard too much, felt too much. The old systems of control are breaking. People are asking questions. The final pieces. Columbia, Flight 19, USS Scorpion, Roswell, Phoenix Lights, TIC-TAC UFOs, the missing whistleblowers. Too many to ignore, too similar to dismiss. Are we being told, but only in whispers, a larger picture? Is this just one thread in a much bigger story? Ancient pyramids, lost civilizations, unexplained technology in the past and future. Maybe STS-107 was never just a mission. Maybe it was an encounter. If you've seen enough, if you've followed this far, ask yourself, do you truly believe the official version? Or is there something inside you that knows something is off? What else is still hidden? How many other missions? How many astronauts saw something and were forced to forget? Or, worse, remembered everything? Is this just the beginning? This isn't the end of the mystery. This is just where the silence starts. Every answer opens 10 more questions. So maybe, just maybe, the real disclosure isn't from the government. It's from you. When enough of us believe, when we stop accepting coincidence, when we start asking louder, they will have no choice but to answer, or disappear again. The truth is out there. It always has been. In files, in stars, in memory, in whispers. But the real question isn't, is it true? It's, are we even allowed to know? And who gets to decide? Maybe not us. Not yet. But the cracks are forming, and something is leaking through.